Hey, we are so excited to be here with you. This is Daniela Pacheco, and can you tell us what you do?
I am a medical malpractice lawyer, which essentially means I sue doctors, hospitals, midwives, and other healthcare practitioners or professionals on behalf of injured people.
And what first sparked your interest in medical malpractice law?
Call me ignorant, maybe, but I had no idea this was a thing.
Like when you were in school?
Yeah, when I was in law school, I had just no clue at all that
What did you think you were
people
gonna-
even sued for that.
I know.
I think a lot of people still don't. I don't think you're ignorant. I think just people don't know in Canada that you do that.
Yeah, and I also feel like you kind of feel like there's a part of you that just feels like lucky that you're getting to go to the doctor and see the doctor. And if something happens, it's definitely like they're the experts. They must have done it right. So I just have to accept what happened.
Yeah, so you bring up a couple of really interesting points. I hear that a lot. I hear a lot of people who question, because we have a public healthcare system, can I even do this? Is this even an option for me? Just wondering how much autonomy they really have in their healthcare and in their healthcare decisions. Those are a lot of questions that we come up against. Like most Canadians didn't know that this was a thing at all. I knew that I loved the law. I loved argument. I loved the idea of being in court. Hadn't been in court very much as a student, but I was getting there, getting some practice. And then I met in the interview process to get a summer job, I actually met a remarkable woman, and she just oozed empathy and just seemed like she would be a fantastic teacher and someone I just really wanted to stay connected to. And it just so happens that she did this work. It was really kind of a sideline that I learned that. And I got the job. I was really lucky. And then I ended up doing 3 jury trials with her in the course of a year on these issues. And I was sold.
It was just you need the empathy. You had that, and did this law interested you? This is maybe a dumb question. I don't know a lot about law school. I didn't go. So when you were studying in law school, what did you think you might want to be interested in before you found out about medical malpractice?
Yeah, so I didn't know.
Okay, you don't need to know?
No, you don't need to know.
Okay.
And in fact, if I were now speaking to like past me or past of my past colleagues, if you will, I would say don't pressure yourself into trying to figure it out. The law isn't always what you think it is. I think people go in, they know Suits or they know like any of those like famous shows, and they're like, oh, that's what it's about. I think it's really different, and how you respond to the pressures of it and the challenges can be also really, really different.
And how you think, right? Like what kind of brain do you have to problem solve and critically think and
change?
Yeah.
You realize you do need a significant amount of empathy. You need to really appreciate the underlying stories that people walk into your office with. But then you also need to be incredibly curious. Like, I'm not a doctor, but I get to like kind of play one on TV, if you will.
Yeah.
And every day I'm learning about a new medical field. I'm learning about stroke. I'm learning about the obstetrical process, like giving birth. I'm learning about surgeries.
So you're very committed to an incredibly complex, emotionally charged kind of area of law. How do you not get burnt out? How do you keep the passion? How do you keep going?
It's the people we do it for. It's the gratitude we get. So some of our trials will last 12 weeks. And then before that, there's about 6 weeks where we really don't engage with our families all that much. And we're just really nose to the grindstone. And it's, a 12 to 16 hour endeavor. And it's exhausting. But at the end of it, when you get to, go to your client's new accessible home and they, get to make you a meal in their newly renovated accessible kitchen, you just feel so rewarded.
Because you're helping people.
Yeah. And you get to see it. And it's a very personalized process. So our clients aren't just nameless, faceless. We spend years getting to know them. So it's really rewarding.
Yeah, it must be so. You must get so personal with your clients.
Yeah. Yeah. We know everything. We're like people's priest or whatever. We know a lot.
Yeah.
What challenges did you face early in your career?
Some of the challenges relate to being a young woman in a field that is remarkably dominated by men. Litigation is very much an old boys club. And even the girls who are let into the boys club are often expected to behave in masculine and sort of aggressive manners.
Right.
It's challenging to find your voice in that environment. Do you, kick up your aggression and be kind of a badass, if you will, or do you find other subtle ways to advance yourself and to advance the interests of your client in that environment? So that's, I think, one of the more difficult things that I had to struggle with when I first started.
How did you build the expertise to become one of Canada's most trusted voices in this space?
Wow, I think that's a really nice compliment for that to be suggested. But I do know that building expertise in a field like this, like any other, takes a lot of hard work and a lot of dedication and a lot of humility. So I think one of the things that I'm very aware of is how much I don't know. So every time I learn something new, it expands my mind, expands my horizon, essentially, to see all the things I have no idea about. And I think my advice to anyone sort of developing any sort of knowledge base is to keep that attitude.
Yeah.
I think it's the minute you think you know all the things that you've lost it. You've lost all the things. So,
And you're also a lot less charming.
Yeah, because you would think that a lot of successful people would be that, not humility, not
know-it-alls.
Yeah, know-it-alls. And what you're saying is it's the actually exact opposite, because then you continue to learn and grow.
100%. And that's how you build your knowledge base, right? So if you approach the world thinking there's everything, I've learned all the things and I am amazing.
Yeah.
Then you are never putting yourself in spaces where you're obtaining more information and learning more skills. Right?
It sounds like a teenager.
I know.
But it's like these adults just never grow out of that mindset. The ones that, don't grow. I know it all. I know everything.
Yeah.
There's nothing more I can learn.
You're like, yes,
Right.
there is so
Yes,
much more.
honey, there's
And
somewhere else.
I'm sure it's changing daily with everything. There's private clinics popping up. There's so much advancement in every area right now. It's happening so quickly. And then the growth of Canada's population is huge. So you do need to keep an open mind, because I'm sure it is changing. You're probably seeing things you hadn't seen previously coming up now more than ever.
Yeah, and I think that's actually one of the reasons why this job is for me and why I enjoy it so much is medicine is always changing. The medical landscape is always changing, right? The rules are always changing about medicine. So screening tests, right? Like for mammograms or other
Right.
things, like all of that is always evolving. So you always need to be evolving and learning as well. And that's kind of fun, right? It means that no day is the same. So I can do, for example, a delay of diagnosis of cancer case today, and it's going to be incredibly different than 10 years ago.
Wow.
The knowledge has changed. The treatments have changed. So all of those things are things that we need to keep up with. That's part of the skill base, is continuing that.
Social media has a lot of doctors.
Real doctors and doctors.
And people
Right.
who like to diagnose each other online. But I'm sure that might help you too, because people who didn't know that was wrong might be like, I had no idea that shouldn't have happened. Does it help or hurt some of these situations, social media, and getting the public's opinion on what is happened or has happened to them?
So I think it's a double-edged sword. There's so much empowerment for people to know what is happening to them. Many, many years ago, that was not the case.
Oh.
People had no idea. Their medical records were locked away in safes. They didn't even know that they could and had a right to them. And we all have a right to our medical records in Canada. And that's something I still have to tell people. But it's easier now with, the like my charts or whatever, like all those things that allow you to get at least some digital access to your records. And I do think it's important for people to read in the newspaper about medical advances and things that might be available to them, so they can ask really informed questions of their physicians. And sometimes that happens on TikTok, or sometimes that may happen on Twitter, right? Where you get this link
Or
to
AI. You never know these days.
Right, where you might get this information. So I think that's really beneficial. I think we just have to be really careful about pretending expertise isn't a thing. And my concern with social media, my concern is that we've lost the important ability to recognize an expert versus a non-expert.
Yeah.
And I think that we should continue to sort of press that critical button in our brains and ask ourselves, is this information coming from a reputable source? Is this information coming from an expert? Is it not? And how do I adjust my expectations of that information accordingly? So I think that that's a really, you know, it can be a double-edged sword, but hopefully if we continue to like educate each other on, you know, being misinformed and what that might mean versus relying on properly trained experts, then hopefully social media won't
So
be that
hire
thing.
a lawyer if you need one. Don't try to be one on your own with your ChatGPT app on the phone.
Yeah, not just a
Yeah.
lawyer, like so many things
Yeah,
that
yeah.
people believe to be experts.
Yeah, I have a good, like, well, I don't know if it's a good, but I often say, you know, would you do your own teeth cleaning? And, or fill your own cavity? Like, are these things that you would do? If not, then, right, I think, you know, which side to go.
I learned the hard way during COVID when I dyed and cut my own hair. You know, I'm not an expert and I shouldn't try to be. What do you think lawyers and healthcare providers most often get wrong when it comes to understanding patient harm and accountability?
An unfortunate side effect of the system that we're in at the moment is that it's really adversarial, I would say. So lawsuits are adversarial by their nature. We are in an adversarial system, unlike some countries. But what that means is that instead of trying to get to the root problem of what went wrong and fix it for the future, we're often stuck in sort of a, you did something wrong, no, I didn't, defensive position that may not always get to the right answer and to the truth. If we can sort of overcome that and see that what we really need to be doing is having discussions about how to prevent something like this happening to someone else, then I actually think that the system would work a little bit better. And so I'm very
For everybody too, right? It's like it would be the betterment of society and the community.
Yeah, and of the physicians or the healthcare professionals themselves. I examine a lot of doctors and nurses for discovery, which is, you know, we sit in a boardroom like this and we ask a series of questions about the case. And I am always incredibly respectful to who I'm at, because nobody, or very rarely, is someone trying to hurt somebody. Right? I hope that that's part of the process, or part of me trying to make the process a bit better for people. But I wish that there were other ways, and I'm always trying to like keep my ear out for ways that we can improve together. One of the things that I do as an example is I guest tutored, at the University of Toronto Medical School, the Temerity School of Medicine, to teach third-year clerks about informed consent and like what the legal obligations are and their use of social media and things like that, and to not give medical advice over Twitter or whatever, or over Instagram. So I think it's important for us to continue those relationships and those discussions, because what helps doctors helps my clients in the end. And so we're not against each other. I just want to continue that dialogue and that relationship for sure.
Are there cases that have stayed with you for life that you just, I'm sure so many do, but are there any that just sit right there with you all the time?
And that you're okay to share with us?
I will do my best. So in London, Ontario, Duncan and I, so my partner, Duncan Embry, and I did a case of a little girl who was very severely injured at birth.
How?
Through what we argued was the negligence of the obstetrician in failing to recognize a complication of pregnancy, like during the delivery. We were there for 6 weeks. We lived with and amongst our clients. Essentially, we were in a hotel. We were there for lunch and coffees, and we just developed these amazing bonds with them. And at the end of the trial, we lost. And we lost in one part and kind of were successful in the other. And I was leading this part called damages. And that's where we try and tell the court, this is the amount of funding we need to keep this baby girl safe, right? And it's heart-wrenching. It's heart-wrenching evidence. It takes your entire soul to call these witnesses and to try and get the judge to understand. And we sort of won my part of it in that we did, explain, and the judge appeared to understand that. But the overall case was lost, and it was devastating, which meant our client wouldn't get any of the funding. We were lucky to reverse that at the Court of Appeal.
Oh, yay.
So
We
that
were like
was
this. Oh no!
like,
This is a
yeah.
bad story.
So we overturned that at the Court of Appeal, and we were able to sort of deal with it in another way after that, which was great. But that stayed with me. You know, it stayed with me because of a couple of reasons. First, I've never met human beings with more grace than my clients. And I'm grateful for them every day. Like they're these clients and every client, they're just so able to persevere. And they really remind you that what you go through in a day is 9 times out of 10, just nothing compared to what other people have to process and deal with. And so that gift to me is just remarkable. And they would give you the shirt off their back. They're those kinds of people. And it was just so amazing to work with them. But I was also really, proud in the end, professionally, that I was able to advance this damages case and this damages theory that was accepted by the court. And that was an exceptional amount, right? So that was really rewarding for me as well.
And I feel like each case and each client, everything you work on isn't just, the outcome isn't just for that one family. It's potentially making change or making people be more aware moving forward.
Absolutely. I mean, you bring up a really good point. Not all of our cases go to trial. So a lot of things are actually relatively private from the sort of world at large, right? Lawsuits are public, they're filed in the court, but nobody spends their afternoons digging through those, right? So it's really when there's a trial or a big motion or an appeal where we see a lot of engagement from the legal community and where you can set a precedent or, explain to the legal community sort of what you've been up to. And lately, since the pandemic, we've done a remarkable number of trials, just way too many maybe, but a lot of them have been very, very meaningful. So, and that was one of the Court of Appeal situations that we dealt with during the pandemic.
You are, wow. It's just that you guys are all so amazing. We're so thankful to spend time with you all. Thank you for sharing all your stories and what you do.
Thank you. Thanks
We
so much
appreciate
for
it.
all the great questions.